You ever have one of those mornings where you walk into the shop, you've got your coffee in one hand, black obviously because I'm not a monster, and you just look at the floor and think, I am single-handedly keeping the paper towel industry in business.
Is this about the hydraulic fluid incident from Tuesday? Because I'm still finding blue stains on my sneakers, Tiger.
Look, that hose had it out for me. It was premeditated. But actually, no, I was thinking about something bigger. I was sitting there wiping down the workbench, and I realized I haven't seen a new face in a heavy repair shop in about 3 years. We're over here playing MacGyver with 40-year-old lathes and vintage diesel engines, and the silence is getting a little deafening.
It's not just your shop, though. I was reading some stats this morning. There are over 250,000 heavy equipment tech jobs in the US right now. And get this, we're staring down an annual need for up to 54,000 new techs every single year just to keep up with the PPTR Saint Sao, Ambersalm, Spapasalm. Buisao an Brisau, Inirstau and Kau on the Sao and Brisau. Nusinki and Faum and the Gari.
54,000, man. That's a lot of people who need to learn how to swing a sledgehammer in a 100-degree shop.
Exactly. So today on the Tiger Den, we're asking, where have all the heavy equipment service technicians gone? And more importantly, why is everyone sleeping on a career where you basically get to play with giant Lego sets for a living?
Welcome back to the Den, folks. Today we're diving into the grease, the gears, and the massive talent gap in heavy equipment.
So, Tiger, you've been in the trade since, what, the Bronze Age?
Very funny. I'll have you know, I actually learned on steam engines. Thank you very much. No, look, here's the thing. Nobody tells you about being a tech. It's not just about fixing things. It's about being a detective where the suspect weighs 30 tons and can't talk.
Right. But that's the intimidation factor, isn't it? When people hear heavy equipment, they think of these massive D9 dozers or those bucket trucks you see on the highway. It feels inaccessible, like you need a PhD in mechanical engineering just to find the oil filter.
Ask me how I know that's not true.
Oh, here we go. How do you know, Tiger?
Because I was the kid dragging lawnmowers out of people's trash when I was 12. My neighbors loved me. My yard looked like a graveyard for Briggs and Stratton engines. But that's the DNA of a technician. You don't need a fancy degree to start. You just need to be the person who looks at something broken and feels a personal insult that it isn't working.
I saw a video recently from a guy named Robert Constantini. He's a heavy equipment mechanic for the Florida DOT. He said something that reminded me of you. He said he's the guy who walks by, and if he's sitting down for 5 minutes, it's because he was just swinging a heavy hammer in a 100-degree heat, and he just needs a minute and some water.
I felt that in my lower back. That's the reality. It's physical. But Robert hit on the core of why this job is disappearing. It's grit. We've spent 30 years telling kids that if they don't have a cubicle and an ergonomic chair, they failed. Meanwhile, Robert's over there keeping the dump trucks, the front-end loaders, and the mowers on the road. Without guys like him, the world literally stops moving.
Wait, hold on. Let's break that down. The world stops moving. That sounds like a bit of shop talk hyperbole.
Is it? Think about it. You want your road paved? You need a paver. Who fixes the paver? You want a bridge built? You need a crane. Who keeps the crane from dropping a beam into the river? If the technicians vanish, the machinery becomes very expensive lawn ornaments. And right now, we're looking at these massive numbers of openings because the old guard, the guys who can tell what's wrong with a diesel engine just by smelling the exhaust, they're all hanging up their coveralls.
And the numbers back you up. We're talking about 21,000 to 54,000 openings annually. That is a massive vacuum. If you're a young person looking for job security, that's basically a lifetime get out of unemployment free card. But let's play devil's advocate. Is it actually fun? Or is it just suffering in the heat?
Oh, it's a blast, provided you don't mind a little shop seasoning in your coffee. I remember one time I was working on a small excavator. It had a hydraulic leak that was driving me insane. I spent 4 hours tracking it. I was covered in fluid. I dropped my favorite wrench into the belly pan, which, by the way, is a black hole that consumes all matter. And I was ready to quit. Then I found it. A tiny hairline fracture in a fitting. I replaced it, fired it up, and that thrum of the engine. Alex, there is no high like the sound of a machine coming back to life because you understood it.
See, that's the part you don't get from a textbook. It's the problem solving. Robert mentioned this too. He said he likes finding the path. How did we get here? Why did this fail? It's logic. Fuel, air, spark, compression. If you have those four, it should run. If it doesn't, you're the investigator.
Exactly. It's the CSI, heavy machinery. But here's the thing, nobody tells you. The job has changed. It's not just hammers and grease anymore. These new machines, they have more computing power than the Apollo 11. You're plugging in laptops, running diagnostics, calibrating sensors. We need digital grease monkeys.
Okay, so that's interesting. You're saying the barrier to entry isn't necessarily strength, it's brain power?
It's both. You still got to swing the hammer, but you also have to understand the code. And that's why the shortage is so scary. We're losing the old school feel for the machines, and we aren't recruiting enough tech-savvy kids to bridge the gap.
So where are they? Are they all becoming software engineers?
Probably. And look, I get it. Air conditioning's nice, but there's a ceiling in those jobs. In the heavy equipment world, you can start as a tech and end up running the whole shop or starting your own service truck. I know guys who make six figures with a laptop and a service rig driving from job site to job site. They're basically mechanical mercenaries.
Mechanical mercenaries. I like that. Sounds like a bad 80s action movie. But okay, if the money is there and the work is fun for the right kind of brain, why aren't people biting? Is it the image?
Image is a big part. People see the dirty uniform and they think unskilled. That's the biggest lie in the trades. I've met technicians who have a more intuitive understanding of physics and fluid dynamics than some engineers I've worked with.
It reminds me of what Robert Constantini said about his day. He walks in, gets his uniform, which, side note, he loves that he doesn't have to wash them at home. I feel that. My laundry situation is a disaster, but he looks at the work orders, sees what was dropped off, and prioritizes. It's a fast-paced environment. It's not just fixing things. It's logistics.
Priority is the key word there. If a dump truck is down, that's a crew of 6 guys standing around doing nothing. The pressure is on, but that's the adrenaline of it. You're the hero. When you show up on a job site with your truck and your tools, you're the most important person there.
But let's talk about the how. For the people listening who are tired of their soul-crushing retail jobs or who are staring at a massive college loan for a degree they don't want, how do you actually become a Robert? How do you get into this?
You can go the trade school route, which is great. It gives you the basics. But honestly, Robert said it best. He grew up doing it. He was the kid with the mowers. If you're the person who fixes your own car because you can't afford a mechanic, or you're the handy friend, you're already halfway there.
Wait, hold on. You're saying someone can just show up? Hey, I fixed a lawnmower once. Give me that 40-ton loader.
Well, maybe don't lead with the lawnmower. But here's the thing. Many dealerships and heavy equipment companies are so desperate, they'll pay for your training. They'll apprentice you. They want to teach you because they know the 60-year-olds are retiring and taking all that tribal knowledge with them.
It's the knowledge gap. I've heard you talk about this. When a veteran tech leaves, it's not just a pair of hands gone. It's 40 years of, oh, that specific sound means the O-ring in the third valve is failing.
Exactly. You can't Google that. Well, maybe you can now, but it's not the same. It's like when I was working on that old tractor last summer. It had this weird ping in the engine. I spent 3 days looking at the manual. An old timer walked by, listened for 4 seconds, and said, "Check your timing belt tensioner, kid." He didn't even stop walking. He was right. That's what we're losing.
So, for the audience, if you're listening and you're someone who likes to figure things out, who likes a challenge that changes every day, why haven't you looked at this? Robert mentioned he works on everything: pickup trucks, cars, bucket trucks for the sign guys, strobe lights. It's not just engine go vroom. It's electronics, hydraulics, safety systems.
And it's meaningful work. That's the emotional beat people miss. Robert said, without this stuff, we can't do what FDOT does. He's talking about keeping the roads safe, keeping the bucket trucks working so the signs get fixed. There's a pride in knowing that because you did your job well, a family gets home safely on a well-maintained road.
It's the invisible infrastructure.
Exactly. No one thanks the mechanic when the road is clear, but everyone screams when the plow breaks down. It takes a certain kind of person to be okay with that.
Okay, but Tiger, let's get real for a second. The disaster stories. You can't have a Tiger Den episode without a shop disaster. What was the heavy equipment version of your worst day?
Oh man, you want the hydraulic rainstorm or the rolling dozer?
Hydraulic Rainstorm sounds like a bad metal band. Let's go with that.
Okay, so I'm working on a backhoe. I'm young, cocky, and I didn't think I needed to bleed the pressure off a line because it's been sitting for an hour. Mistake number one, ask me how I know.
How do you know?
Because I cracked that fitting, and about 3 gallons of pressurized hydraulic fluid hit the ceiling, bounced off, and showered me in what felt like warm, oily failure. It was in my hair, my ears, my pockets. I looked like a seal that had been through an oil spill. I had to walk into the break room to get the degreaser soap, and the old timers just looked at me, and one of them goes, "Found the pressure, did ya?"
Haha, that's cold.
It was fair, but that's how you learn. You never make that mistake again. You learn to respect the power of these machines. There's a weight to it, literally. When you're working with things that can crush a car like a soda can, you develop a certain discipline.
And that's probably why we're seeing fewer people get into it. It's intimidating. It's high stakes. If you mess up a spreadsheet, you hit undo. If you mess up a brake line on a dump truck, people could get hurt.
That's true, but that's also why it pays well. That's why it's a career, not just a job. And let's talk about the variety. Robert mentioned he likes that it's never the same thing twice. One day it's a cylinder misfire, checking fuel, air, spark, compression. The next day it's installing strobe lights and safety striping.
I think there's a misconception that it's mindless work. But listening to Robert and listening to you, it's clearly very analytical. You're running through a checklist. It's an algorithm, just a manual one.
It's the ultimate puzzle, and for the makers out there, the people listening who spend their weekends in the garage building furniture or welding art, this is just that, but on a grander scale. If you can build a coffee table, you can learn to service a transmission. It's just A connects to B.
So, if we have 50,000 openings and a bunch of people who want to work with their hands but are stuck in dead-end jobs, how do we bridge the gap?
We have to stop treating the trades like a backup plan. It shouldn't be go to college or I guess become a mechanic. It should be, do you want to be part of the backbone of the country? We need to show people folks like Robert. He's happy, he's proud, he gets to solve problems every day.
And he gets those free uniforms. Don't forget the uniforms.
Honestly, the no laundry thing is a top tier perk. But seriously, the takeaway here is that the heavy equipment tech isn't a dying breed. They're a missing breed. We've stopped looking for them, and they've stopped looking at us.
It's a supply and demand issue. If you're a young person entering the workforce, you want to go where the demand is. And right now, the demand is screaming.
It really is. And look, it's not for everyone. You're gonna get dirty. You're gonna get frustrated. You're gonna spend 5 hours looking for a tool that's literally in your back pocket. Ask me how I know.
Haha, I've seen you do that with your glasses, and they were on your head.
Hey, stay on topic. The point is, at the end of the day, you look at a fleet of machines that are out there building houses, clearing roads, and keeping the world spinning, and you think, that's running because I'm good at my job. There's a soul-level satisfaction in that which you just can't get from a PowerPoint presentation.
So, what's the first step for someone listening who's intrigued?
Go to a local equipment dealership, ask for the service manager. Don't just send an email. Show up. Say, I want to learn. I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. Where do I start? I guarantee you they'll give you the time of day because they are looking for you. They're looking for that spark of curiosity.
And maybe bring a box of donuts. I feel like mechanics like donuts.
Donuts are the universal currency of the shop. You bring a baker's dozen of glazed, and you'll have every veteran tech in the building willing to show you how a torque converter works.
It's about the community, too. You're not just a guy in a hole. You're part of a team. Robert mentioned Treasure Coast Operations. He's part of a unit. They rely on each other.
That's the den spirit, Alex. Whether you're woodworking, welding, or fixing a 12-liter diesel engine, you're part of a tradition of people who make and fix. We're the ones who keep things together when they want to fall apart.
Well, I'm sold, though I think I'll stick to the co-hosting side of things for now. My hands are too soft for 100-degree shops.
We'll get some grease on you eventually. I've got a lawnmower in the back that needs the carb cleaned.
Haha, not a chance.
Here's the final thought for today, folks. We talk a lot about the future. Usually, that involves robots and AI and things that live in a screen. But the real future? It's built on concrete. It's moved by steel. and it's maintained by people with wrenches and the grit to use them. If you're looking for a path, don't be afraid of the one that's a little muddy. It usually leads somewhere important.
Well said, Tiger. Where can people find more info on this?
Check out your local community colleges, trade schools, or even the Department of Transportation websites, like the one where Robert works. There are programs everywhere. The doors are open, you just have to walk through them.
And bring your own water bottle, because it's gonna be hot.
And some Advil for the swinging the heavy hammer days.
Thanks for joining us in the den today. If you enjoyed this dive into the world of heavy equipment, leave us a review or tell a friend who's tired of their desk job.
Keep your tools sharp, your mind sharper, and for heaven's sake, bleed the pressure off your lines before you crack the fittings. Ask me how I know.
We know, Tiger. We know. See you guys next week.
Catch you later.